with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. Broadcasting live on YouTube and X. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. Excuse me, I got you for the next 25 minutes or so, and I think we have a good Monday show planned for the people. We talk NCAA, we talk basketball, we talk football. We have highlights from the College World Series. Get in on the action, the Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, all of the social media sites, the mothership, 12OZ Sports. Happy Monday, everybody. It's June 9th. Hope the summer has started well for the people. I know, unfortunately, some kids are still in school. New Jersey public high schools, elementary schools, middle schools, I think still have like 2 weeks or something left on their calendar. Ridiculous, but that is where we are. So hopefully on this Monday, if you're on your way to work, we can entertain you. If you're on your way to the beach, we can entertain you there. Or if you are just waking up, we can do that too. Starting with the NCAA, which should be changed to the NPAA because it is no longer college or amateur sports. These kids might be getting a quote unquote college degree, but this is not college athletics. If you're wondering what I'm talking about here, here's a little bit of insight into what went on. A essentially $8 billion settlement has happened on behalf of former student athletes, current student athletes, and the NCAA. In 2021, the NCAA adopted the NIL platform, name, image, and likeness, allowing student athletes to make money off of their name, image, and likeness, something that prior to 2021 was actually illegal for the student athlete. The student athlete couldn't make a dime off of his name, image, or likeness while being a college athlete. For the existence of the NCAA, this has been an amateur level. The idea of the National Collegiate Athletic Association, which I'm now calling the National Professional Athletic Association, the purpose of the NCAA was to be the stepping stone between you being in high school and you being a professional. It was that 4 to 5 years as a collegiate athlete to develop you from a undersized, maybe not as mature 17 or 18-year-old to a ready for professional sports 21, 22, 23-year-old adult. Okay, that was the inception of the NCAA, and it was purely for the amateurism. The only way you quote unquote got paid at that time up until 2021 was getting an athletic scholarship. In some sports, you could go to school for free. In other sports, you could get partial scholarships. All depended on what sport and the amount of scholarships a school had to give out. Well, now we are entering the next level of professional sports. So with this $2.8 billion settlement, money will be paid back to athletes that played prior to 2021, who I guess could have, should have, or would have made money both off the NIL or the second part of this settlement, which is wildly interesting. Schools and or conferences have had the chance to opt in to a new pay your players system. So essentially, each college or university is now their own professional franchise. And they have up to $20.5 million as their quote unquote salary cap to pay the athletes in their athletic department. That salary cap is or could be as high as $33 million per school as soon as the 2035 season. There are 361 Division I schools participating in athletics. And if your conference didn't opt in, your school had the choice to opt in. If your conference opted in, your school had no choice, they opted in. Okay? So roughly half the schools in Division I believe, have opted in. And I believe maybe half the conferences, somewhere in that realm. Now, if you're a school that has not opted in, has not decided, hey, we don't, or your conference has decided we don't want to make our conference professional conference, there's now no longer a scholarship limit, I believe, for the schools that aren't opted in. Because if you really think about it, what type of parity are we going to have in college athletics if 190 schools can straight up offer people contracts of $200,000 a year, $1 million a year, depending on what athlete you are, $500,000 a year, or, which unfortunately is probably being the most devalued in this situation, or I can give you a full athletic scholarship because I can't pay you, though I can still get you NIL, though. Just keep that in the back of your mind, okay? So that guy can give you a $200,000 contract per year via XYZ University, plus a $1.5 million a year NIL. So you're essentially making $1.75 million a year at XYZ University. Well, me here at ABC University, I can make this entire education and college experience for you free. Okay, so you'll pay $0. All right, still get a degree, which is huge, and I can give you $1 million in NIL because we don't have a pay-for-play department, so we are trying to utilize our NIL fund or our NIL collective to get the best players to our university so that we can compete, okay? So that is the counteraction for the universities or colleges that have not opted in. But the bottom line is this settlement, one, rightfully so, pays student athletes that played prior to 2021 as if they were playing now and were what they would have deserved then. You know, I think about some of these quarterbacks, some of these college football players. Like, they must be getting a really nice settlement check because according to what I've learned or researched, and honestly, I didn't need to research a thing to assume this and probably know this was true. Football and basketball are most likely a heavy contingent of capital gain here, okay? And that makes the most sense. Me, if I was to play baseball, one, as a D2 baseball player, I ain't getting a dime. This is not about that, okay? There had to be reason, I believe, and I got to do more research into this. But the bottom line is a bunch of athletes made this happen and have now changed the course of the history of college athletics. And the question is simple. Is it still collegiate athletics, or is it another professional league? And that's okay, because the education in this whole thing has been devalued, because that was the idea of why the full scholarship or scholarship money at all was gigantic. The common thing to be said was, I mean, hey, I don't know if they'll become a professional, but they got their education 4 years for free, right? Paid for his college tuition. Baseball paid for his college tuition. Gymnastics paid for her college tuition. I mean, that's the exact example of my fiance, and that's a win. But that's not the way it's looked at anymore. You going and getting a full scholarship to get a degree is almost laughed at in some of these scenarios because we have softball players, and she might deserve it. I'm not saying she doesn't, making $1 million a year. We have the seventh guy on an SEC basketball roster making $500,000 a year. Okay? So there's no scenario where a kid is ever really choosing the quality education anymore in certain sports. Yes, me as the tennis player might have 5 or 6 Division I's at my disposal that want me and have offered me something. And I might choose a little less in this category so I have a better education. Because the marginal difference there might not be that huge. And I know that from a professional tennis standpoint or a level of how much money I'm going to get in this thing standpoint, the education has to play large for me. Whereas if I'm the 39th football player on a roster and at some of these schools, I'm making a salary of more than a lot of Americans. Like any NIL that you sign that's 6 figures is more than a lot of people. So for 4 years, you make a salary that is not even comparable to a lot of people. That might not be fully possible out of college unless you get into specific careers. It's possible, but how realistic? So now you're making 6 figures for 4 or 5 years as a collegiate athlete. Okay. And I don't think that the student that's making that money is thinking, oh man, but I could make $200,000 over 4 years and get a better education. No one's thinking that way. How much money can I get? And how does it benefit me? That is the most important thing. So the NCAA settles in court $2.8 billion to be paid out, a cap of $20.5 million. And college sports is now a professional venture. We'll see where it goes, but I think this is just another domino to fall in the long line of let's just call a spade a spade. National Professional Athletic Association. The Rome Show, 12OZsports.com, broadcasting live on YouTube and X. Follow the mothership on any of the platforms. Before we take a quick commercial break, Nick Chubb has signed with the Houston Texans. The running back spent 7 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. He is the 3rd all-time rusher on the Cleveland Browns in the history of their franchise with 6,843 yards. The last 2 seasons, however, for the Houston Texans, for Nick Chubb, have provided injury-laden. So he only rushed for 330 yards last season. Add Joe Mixon with Nick Chubb if Nick Chubb is healthy, and that is a really good 2-headed monster for CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, and the Houston Texans. So another running back in the room for the Texans. And you're in that second wave of NFL signings now. These names are usually known in this time period. Teams went to mandatory OTAs, rookie minicamp, the draft happened, and you're looking around and you're like, okay, we're not as set in that position or that position as I thought we were, which is fine. But now let's go back to the free agency market and see what value deals we can get here. So a 1-year deal for the Texans on a Nick Chubb, who could be a number 1 running back when fully healthy in this league still right now. That's a really nice pickup. And Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, bringing into the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback room, in their mind, that's a really good pickup, and so on and so forth. That's that time period right now. You are essentially a month and a half away. You're like 6.5, 7 weeks away from training camp starting and the next NFL season officially going. So this is your 4-week sprint here. If you're a football team in the NFL trying to figure out, do I go to the UFL and try and sign somebody out of there? Is there a college guy that we didn't sign that now we need to get as a free agent that we got to bring in? Is there a veteran free agent on the market that can add depth to this roster Have we succumbed to any injuries already this early in the season, though it's not really the season? It's still mini camps and OTAs. All of those questions being answered right now, and you start to see some dominoes fall like a Nick Chubb, who had question marks around him, though good name, though good 7-year career, and the value of the running backs going back up now. So you'll see. If you think your team might need a move or two here, this is the 3 or 4 week stretch that I think you're going to start to see that second wave of free agents start to sign and get ready for the next season of the National Football League. We're going to get ready for this commercial break. When we come back, SGA, 34 points last night, held Halliburton to 3 points in the first half, and a demolishing of the Pacers in game number 2 for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Plus, College World Series Super Regional baseball. 7 of 8 teams are set. Murray State and Duke are making it difficult for us to figure out who's going to Omaha. They'll settle game 3 tonight. And I got some awesome highlights from over the weekend. So we got a great second half of this show coming up. Stay with us here on the Rome Show, 12OZ Sports.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
It's the Rome Show!
Yeah, the Rome Show, 12ouncesports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube and X. Oh, also on Facebook, by the way. Go to the Rome Show on Facebook or Andrew Romanella. Either one. Easy to find. Facebook.com. So many places to get the show, the Rome Show, one Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, all the social medias. You can get the Rome Show podcast. If you missed the first 67% of this show, we talked NCAA settlement of $2.8 roughly billion to former and current athletes and the opportunity for colleges and universities to pay their players directly and no longer a scholarship limit on the schools that are not functioning like a pay-to-play university. Get the Rome Show podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search the Rome Show podcast. Last night in the National Basketball Association, led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Oklahoma City Thunder defeated the Pacers 123-107, tying the NBA Finals at 1-1. What a really good bounce back for OKC last night after losing a really tough game with which they gave up a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter with less than 10 minutes for the first time in NBA history to the Pacers with a clutch bucket by Tyrese Halliburton as time expired. So OKC, for all intents and purposes, needed to win this game. So they were not going back to Indiana down 2-0 in this series. From the jump, they put it on the Indiana Pacers, outscoring them 59-41 in the first half. It was a good first quarter. Indiana grabbed their only lead with 2:34 remaining in the first quarter. And after that, it was Oklahoma City Thunder. Indiana led 21-20 at that point in time. And then OKC proceeded to score 103 points from that point forward and only allowed Indiana 86 total for that victory. We talked a lot in this series about how Indiana's a second half team. Throughout the season, they're averaging 58.7 points per game in the second half. Okay. So when you're OKC and you go into the halftime with a 19-point lead, you say to yourself, all right, we got to shut this thing down. Okay. Because last time we were here, we felt like it was game over with 15 minutes remaining. And all of a sudden we were sitting down 0-1 in this series. So put it on them. And OKC just did just that. At halftime, SGA had 15 points. He finished the game with 34. Isaiah Hartenstein, he came off the bench and he gave 3. That was, and Aaron Wiggins, wrote that down wrong, had 18 off the bench. Alex Caruso had 20 off the bench. Chad Holmgren, he had 15. Okay. And Jalen Williams finished with 19. So a very spread out scoring night for the Thunder with 5 different players in double figures. Great night for Aaron Wiggins. He played 21 minutes and was 6 of 11 from the field, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. And when OKC can shoot the 3, along with being one of the best 16 to 20 foot shooting teams in the NBA, then it's really, really hard to play them and defend them. They're also the best defensive team in the National Basketball Association. And you saw that in the first half, and then a really good job of them sustaining through the fourth quarter. So now you have game 3 in Indiana, series tied 2-2. That game will be on Wednesday. Yeah, I know. The NBA takes 2 days off in between their first 2 games. Kind of ridiculous, at least in my opinion. It should be game, off day, game. If you want to go 2 days off for flight, I'm fine with that. Then game, off day, game, whatever the case is. And if you want to go 2 days for off for flight, I'm fine with that. But either way, this series returns on Wednesday in Indiana, tied 1-1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I told you last week about the College World Series happening. We talked Oklahoma softball being knocked out of the opportunity for a 5-peat by Texas Tech University. Well, Texas knocked off Texas Tech in game 3 of the Women's College World Series to win the trophy. Texas has been in the College World Series final 3 of the last 4 seasons, losing 2 of those to the Oklahoma Sooners. A lot of good sports going on in Oklahoma right now. So shout out to Texas women's softball for their victory. And they are the champs of the NCAA Division I ranks. For baseball, 1 game remains. Murray State versus Duke today. Game number 3 of that series. Okay. Outside of that, we have had a really fun super regional. Here are the teams that are going to be in the College World Series as of right now. The first team to punch their ticket was Coastal Carolina. Okay. That was an awesome display for the Chanticleers, defeating Auburn in 2 games. Check out this walk-off winner for Caden Bodine in game number 1 that helped send Coastal to the college, where they are actually within the last decade a national champion, Coastal Carolina. So we'll see if they can make the magic happen. The University of Arizona had 2 really important big hits. The first one from Maddox Mahakis in game number 1, bases loaded, top 7. Bottom 7, excuse me. 2-run single. Gives Zona a 10-8 lead. Mikalakis. Great swing. Lefty breaker.
As soon as he made contact with it, won a couple of back-to-back at-bats.
That's a beautiful swing, but it didn't stop there for Arizona in game number 2. AZ needed it, and they got it.
Solid shot, base hit. 1 run is in, a second run being waved around.
Top of the 8th in this one. Mason White, the clutch hit. And not only did Mason White win you that game, Mason White sends you to the College World Series if you are Arizona. Arkansas in, UCLA in, Louisville in. How about this game winner for Louisville? Eddie King Jr.
Swing on a small fly ball, center field. Torres racing in, dives, can't get it. Louisville will take the lead.
2 strike, 2 out hitting.
Cardinals.
High school baseball used to say 2 out hitting will get you to heaven.
Playing really deep, which is hard in these type of situations with runners on. But
yeah.
we talked about
center fielder deep, makes the dive, couldn't make the catch. Louisville makes the College World Series, knocking off Miami in 3 games. Like I said, 1 series still remains. Murray State versus Duke. LSU, they defeated West Virginia in 2 games. So they'll head back to the College World Series. Oregon State in a wild game 3 against Florida State yesterday, won 14-10. But in game number 1, they needed this walk-off winner.
In the air, center field, that'll win it for the Beavers. Oregon State has walked off Florida State to take game 1.
Big. Lost game number 2, bounced back and went down immediately in the top of the first inning in game number 3. And Oregon State, for the first time since 2018, headed back to the College World Series. A weekend
Game-winning hit from A.J. Singer
of electric hits, walk-offs, and just awesome college baseball. So if you haven't started to tune in yet, you are seriously missing out. So check out Murray State, Cinderella story here, winning 16-9 yesterday against Duke to keep their season alive. Winner go home game 3 to see if they are the 8th and final team to be added to the College World Series in Omaha, which will start at the end of this week, rolling into next week. It's a fun time for college baseball. And if you're not watching it, you're missing out. So please check it out. Starting today with the final Super Regional game, and then especially in Omaha with the College World Series. That's the Rome Show, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed it here on this Monday, June 9th. 2025. If you did, be sure to tell a friend, share it with a friend, subscribe to the YouTube page 12OZ Sports so you get all the great shows on the mothership. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Social media, the Rome Show 1, Coach_Romo24, whatever it is. Give me the follow. See you tomorrow. Have an electric Monday. Peace.
Thank you for listening.